What cheer, y'all? Well, let's continue on with our feel-good stories. We just talked about Chunk of Gold. Now let's talk about Coal Battle. Another horse you really got to love. Uh, for Lonnie Briley, an old hard boot trainer. This one has just been a pleasant surprise and certainly has made a believer out of me after that Rebel Stakes. He just keeps rolling along. He's had some good successes, and the Arkansas Derby finished a decent enough third. Might not have been trained up all the way, but he's certainly an intriguing prospect. And given what we think is going to be the race shape for the Derby, he's pretty interesting from for a lot of reasons. Taking a look at his pedigree, it doesn't scream two turns, particularly on the dam side. Wolfblade's only got a couple of Coal Front or Coal Battle being the most prominent. Coal Front is by Stay Thirsty, who won the Belmont. But you look at the Conduit Mare profile more than anything else, and it is skewed towards speed. And you couple that when you think about the Arkansas Derby and maybe the rubbers meeting the road here, not overly certain. Midshipman and Latent Heat, not midshipman more of a miler, Latent Heat total sprinter. So not a lot of stamina underneath, and Cold Front kind of marginal, probably more of a miler himself. So the pedigree is kind of questionable for a mile and a quarter, I would say. But we'll take a look at the running lines, and what we have to love is that he just continued to he just keeps on keeping on. He's just been competitive all the way along at 3. But the question is, to a certain degree, about the quality somewhat. The Smarty Jones was really not much of a race. And he won it, but he did what a good horse is supposed to. He just took command of the race and didn't let it go. The Rebel Stakes was really what impressed me more than anything. And the thing that I like, and he did this in the Arkansas Derby as well, Juan Vargas did, is that he got him going early. And I always love that with horses that, they get engaged and before a lot of others do, and they kind of catch them a little bit flat-footed. And he's been able to do this very effectively. Now, in the Arkansas Derby, you'll note the pace fractions were the same for both races. 45-110, 45-110, just about the same. Now, obviously, we know what happened in the Arkansas Derby. There was a suicidal pace duel on the front end. Coal Battle was a little closer to it than the others, so he felt the heat, and you can see that by look at that last fraction of 70. That's just not very good at all, considering compare it to the Rebel Stakes where he had a 93 running at roughly the same fractions, but he was a little further back perhaps. So now the indication is that Lonnie Briley has said, well, I didn't have him tuned up all the way. Maybe not. And we've noticed this with a lot of trainers. They've been, they have that first solid effort, then they kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit in the second, or don't run at all, and then they have that third effort. So he could be sitting on a big one for the Derby, but what I would tend to believe more than anything else is that maybe the Arkansas Derby is kind of displaying that maybe a mile and eighth is you're starting to get to his ceiling where that's maybe a little too far. That's sort of the feeling I got. I mean, it's always nice to say, the trainers are great at talking up the horse and say, well, he wasn't tuned up all the way. Wait till the Derby. Well, maybe, it could very well be. And one thing I will say that just looking here is that he had him in a workout right after the Arkansas Derby, which is a good sign, I would say, because usually they give him a couple of weeks, and he had him right back doing a timed work. So I would say that is encouraging. With that, it seems like with that same running style that he's had for the last two, you see him at the top of the stretch, and he's going to raise a lot of eyebrows because he's going to be right in the thick of it if he runs his race. The question you got to have is if he stays up close to the hot fractions again, if that's going to burn him out at a longer distance. So If he can get back to that Rebel Stakes, running a little more patiently, a little further back, I don't know. Maybe. But he just looks to me like one of those horses that's kind of a feel-good story where he's finally turning into a pumpkin. I have to say that. I'm rooting for him. I love the horse's competitiveness. I think if anything's going to get him into the mix in the stretch in the Derby, that would be it, because this horse likes to win and he's a fighter. So we'll look at the positives and negatives. He is pretty consistent. And again, I like that early move. The fact that they're using it consistently, I just really think that's a feather in his cap. And that would be the kind of run, if he's got enough in the stretch, he could catch those closers flat-footed. Now, whether he's got the top end to finish, that's the big question. And I do have some questions about the class. I just wonder if maybe the waters are getting a little deep and he'd have to take another jump. And at the longer distance, not sure that's possible. So another one with mixed signals. He's another one that if you you think with your heart, he's one you got to have in the mix. If you think with your head, probably not. That's just my outlook. I love horses with a lot of heart, who have a lot of fight in them, and that may be enough to get him in the mix, but I tend to believe he's just going to be a little short on Derby Day, but we'll see. We'll see how he trains. So that's Cold Battle. We'll have more Derby profiles coming up, so be on the lookout for that, and then our elements of handicapping. So be on the lookout for that. We'll do as much Oaks content as we can possibly get out. And that looks like it's going to be an interesting race as well. So plenty of content on the way. If you do like content like this, of course, please like and subscribe. And again, thanks so much for all of you who have come on board. Keep those comments coming. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.